Today we're going to talk about Chapter 4, so Lesson 4.1, which is an introduction to geometry. So geometry is actually a branch of mathematics that is very old. In fact, around 300 BC, which that's a long time ago, there was a Greek mathematician named Euclid, and he wrote a book called The Elements, and that book is still used today to study geometry, which is crazy. I mean, it was written around 300 BC, so this is a very old branch of mathematics. All right, so we're on page 142 of your book. There are lots of definitions in this lesson, but I will tell you that the definitions are the whole lesson. So I know there's a lot of writing over the next few slides. If you need to pause this recording and write before moving on to the next page, then please do so. But I do want you to write these down because you have to know them. The definitions could be thrown at you like true-false questions. This is the whole point of this lesson. So be prepared to write. All right, the basis of geometry is a plane. And a plane, I want you to think about a piece of paper, a flat piece of notebook paper or copy paper, and think about it being stretched like putty forever and ever in all directions. So a plane is like a flat surface that never stops. It just extends forever and ever. Okay, so once we have our plane, then we can put things on the plane. So all of the other definitions we're going to talk about are drawn on a plane. Okay, so this whiteboard that I have here, you could consider this a plane if it extended in all directions forever and ever. And I have drawn things on the plane. So, good way to think about a plane is a piece of paper. All right, so the first thing we can draw on a plane is a point. And a point is an exact location in space. It's represented by a dot. It has no length, no width, and no depth. So it's just a dot. You can't measure how long it is or how wide it is or how deep it goes. It is just a dot on paper. Okay, so if you were going to label this dot over here to the left, we would call it point A. Okay, so it's really important that we know how to write them because, again, that's something you're going to be tested on. This lesson is all about learning the definitions and how to use them. So point A is what we would call that. All right, the next one is a line. So I have two examples of lines drawn, but a line is a length and it's made up of points. So if you think about a line on a number, like a number line is made up of lots of different points. And it extends in both directions forever and ever. It never stops. But it has no thickness. Okay, it's just a line on paper. So the two examples that I have at the left, let's talk about how to label those. So the top one is called line AB. And please notice that on top of this line, or on top of the letters A and B, we drew a line. Okay, that's how you know that we're talking about line AB. It's the letters AB, which are the points on our line, and then you put a line above it. Okay? The next one is the bottom, and that's whenever you're not given any points, but you're told that the line is called M. So the bottom one down here, you would call it line M. So you don't have any points. You can't label it or write it the same way you did the first one, but you do know that the line is called M. So it's line M. Okay, again, if you need to pause, go ahead and do so, but I'm going to keep going in this. The next one we got is a line segment. So a line segment is a portion of a line, and it has two endpoints. So if you notice in my example, it has two endpoints instead of arrows. Okay, there's no arrows because they stop. It's only part of a line. And if you were going to label this, if you were going to write it out, you would call it line segment CD. So just like with the line on the previous page, you write the letters from the points, CD, and you draw a segment over the top. So notice that my segment on top has no arrows. It's just a segment. Okay? All right, that's really going to be the biggest part of this lesson. I know that seems very tedious and I'm harping on it, but you've got to know the difference in how to label a line segment versus a line. Okay? We've got to get this down. All right, the next one is array. Array is a portion of a line that has one endpoint, and then it extends from the endpoint in one direction forever and ever and ever. Okay, so over to the left, I have two examples. And both of these are labeled the same way. Okay, so the endpoint is X in both of them. X is the endpoint in the top, and X is the endpoint in the bottom. When you are labeling a array, you always write the endpoint first. Okay, so both of these examples are called ray XY, which is written right here. Okay, so we have the letters XY. Remember, we wrote X first because it's the endpoint. So we have XY, and then we drew a ray over the top. So ray XY. Okay, just a few more. The next one we have is an angle. An angle is formed by two rays that share a common endpoint, and that common endpoint is called a vertex. Okay, so if you look at our example over here, we have the common endpoint of B, and we've got a line that extends from B up top and a line that extends from B down below, right? So you've got this line here, and then you've got this line here. Do you see that? So they're two rays, and they both come from the endpoint of B. All right, so what if we were going to label this? What would we call it? So there's three different ways you can label an angle. Three. The first two ways are using all 3 points. Okay, so you can have ABC, or you can have angle CBA. And notice that out front, there's an angle symbol drawn in front of the letters. Okay, I know that kind of looks like a less than symbol. It's easy to draw it that way, but technically the top one is supposed to be a little bit longer than the bottom one. Okay, so angle CBA or angle ABC. Also, please notice that B is in the middle both times. That's the only way that you can use all 3 letters. You would not call this BAC. You would not do that. They have to go in order on the angle. Okay, so the common endpoint, the vertex, is always in the middle. All right, the last way you can label this is just with the endpoint. Okay, you can take the endpoint, the vertex, and you can call it angle B. That's the 3 ways that you can label an angle. All right, the next one we have is intersecting lines. Okay, so intersecting lines are 2 lines and they cross at 1 point. So in our example, we have the 1 point in the middle, and then they cross and they keep going in all directions, right? So how would you write this? you would literally write both of the lines separately. So we've got line AB. Notice the line drawn over the letters AB. Okay, and you have line CD. Okay, so line AB and line CD, they're intersecting lines. That's how you'd write that. All right, the next one is perpendicular lines. So these are the last two, I should say, are a special type of intersecting lines. Okay, so if they're perpendicular, then they're intersecting lines and they form 4 right angles. Okay, do y'all notice how I have the black box drawn? That line like this means right angle. Okay, so whenever I have one of those drawn in every corner, that means that there are 4 right angles. Okay, now how would we write this? This is very important. You would write this using the perpendicular symbol. It looks like an upside down T. Okay, perpendicular symbol. So you would say line AB is perpendicular to line XY. And again, you still have the line symbol over your letters, and you just put the perpendicular symbol in the middle. Okay, and then the last one is parallel. So again, well, this isn't a special type of intersecting lines because parallel lines never intersect. But lines that never intersect, think about railroad tracks, whatever you want to think about to remember parallel lines, but they never intersect. Okay, so we have a new symbol for this. It looks like the number 11, or you could say it looks like railroad tracks. Okay, but the 2 lines up and down mean parallel. So in this case, we have line AB is parallel to line XY. So you've got the perpendicular symbol, which is the upside down T, and then you've got the parallel symbol, which is the railroad tracks. If you can keep those straight, you will be good to go. All right, so really, that's the lesson. The entire lesson is understanding the definitions and how to label things. That's it. But before we end this out, I want to show you some examples of the types of problems you're going to see on your homework. Because whenever you just see definitions, it's like, okay, great, how do I use that? What are my questions going to ask me? So let's go through a few examples, okay? So in these first few examples, what I want you to do is write the meaning of each symbol. Okay, so in the first one, this says, well, I can't tell you what it says unless I want to tell you the answer. So you're going to look at what's written, and you're going to look at the symbol out front. What does that symbol mean? That symbol means angle, right? Angle. So the answer to this problem is angle ABC. So they're just wanting you to write out what does the symbol mean that's used in each problem. Okay, so in the next one, you have to know what does this on top of the XY mean? What does that symbol on top of the XY stand for? Well, it's got one arrow. One arrow is a ray. So this would be called ray XY. Okay, the next one. What does this symbol on top of the KL mean? Well, there's no arrows. So if there's no arrows, then it means line segment. So this is line segment KL. Okay, next one. What does this symbol mean? And I guess you technically have to know what these symbols on top of the letters are. Well, the symbol on top of the letters has 2 arrows. So that must be a line. So this first one says line TZ. And then what does the symbol in the middle mean? It means parallel. So it is parallel to what? The next one is line XY. Okay, so you're just writing it in words. What is it? What are the symbols telling you? All right, the next thing they could have you do is go the opposite direction. So now I'm going to give you a picture, and I'm going to say, I want you to label this using the symbols. Okay, so in the top one, what is that? I see 2 endpoints. So what do I have there? I have a line segment, right? Remember, line segment is just a line on top of letters. What letters am I going to use? You're going to use the endpoints. So this is line segment DF. And that's it. Okay, the next one. What do I have drawn there? That is an angle. So then what's the symbol for an angle? It kind of looks like a less than sign. So there's angle. But then how do I label my angle? There's 3 ways, remember. You could call this IJK. You could call it angle KJI. Because remember, the vertex, the common endpoint, has to be in the middle. What's the last way you can label an angle? By the vertex, right? So I can call this angle J. So there's 3 ways that you can write an angle. All right, let's go to the next one. What do I have in the next picture? I see 1 endpoint and 1 arrow. So that would be a ray. That's the symbol for ray. And then whenever you're labeling a ray, which one do you have to write first? You have to write the end point first. So because the P is the end point, it's going to be written first. So this is ray PQ. All right, last one. I think there might be a couple more on the next page. Yep, I think there's a couple more after this. All right, next one. What do I have in the last picture on this page? I see 2 arrows. So that must be a line. So there's the symbol for line. And then you label it with the points that were given. So it's line ER. Okay. Next. Ooh, all right. What's happening in the top one? I see right angles. What kind of lines form right angles? Perpendicular lines. So remember, that's the upside down T. So now you have to ask yourself, what goes on each side? Well, I've got line AB, right? Here's line AB. And then I have line CD. So line AB is perpendicular to line CD. Okay? All right, what about the last one? What's happening with those lines? They are parallel. So then what's the symbol for parallel lines? Railroad tracks. And please make sure they are long enough that they don't look like ones. Okay, make sure they're longer than your letters. That way they don't, you don't want them to look like actual ones or the number 11 in the middle there. All right, so we have line SD is parallel to line MN. And that's it. That's really the only types of problems you're going to see in your homework is, do you know how to use the symbols, and do you know what the symbols mean? So please use the chart that's on page 142 through 143 to help you, or your notes, because you should have written them down, all those definitions. But when it comes to quiz and test time, those definitions are not going to be given to you. So you have to know what an angle is, what are perpendicular lines, what's a segment. You have to know what all those are, and you have to know the symbol that goes with each one. Okay? So you're going to have to start memorizing it. So as you do your homework, I am going to challenge you to try to do as many problems without your notes as you can, but use your notes if you need them, because I don't want you to get them wrong because you are trying to guess, okay? But just get to where you can start doing them without your notes. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow.